At my brother's wedding, they handed me a flimsy paper badge that read, "Limited Access Guest." My mom leaned in and whispered, "That means no plate." I glanced at her, then at the gift table. Without a word, I walked over, picked up my envelope, the one with a $7,500 check I had saved up for months, slipped it back into my bag, and said quietly, "I guess you won't be needing this after all." Then I turned and headed for the door. My brother shouted after me, my parents yelled for me to come back, but I didn't stop. Their voices trailed off behind me as I left. Offensive, that was the only word for it. That envelope wasn't just paper. It represented skipped vacations, extra shifts, months of sacrifice so I could give him something meaningful. And they treated me like an outsider. The ceremony earlier had been fine, short, beautiful, all applause and smiles. My brother barely spoke to me, but I brushed it off as nerves. I never expected to be the star of the day, but I did expect to be part of it. At the reception, though, the truth hit. I watched couple after couple receive glossy, gold-trimmed name cards with their table numbers written in elegant calligraphy. When it was my turn, the woman at the desk shoved a white slip into my hand without even looking up. Limited access guest. For a second, I thought it was a mistake. But then my mom appeared, almost like she had been waiting for me to notice, and whispered, "That means no plate." Then she walked off. No wink, no smile, no hint of a joke. I stood frozen, staring at the badge, the room suddenly too quiet. Like being underwater. Still, I walked inside. Maybe there had been a mix-up. But when I scanned the seating chart, checked every table, every card, my name was nowhere. No chair, no plate, no space for me at all. I wasn't a guest. I was an afterthought. I stood near the wall while everyone settled in, my brother raising his glass, my parents clapping, his new wife kissing his cheek while the cameras flashed. No one noticed me. Or maybe they did and simply didn't care. That was when I made my choice. I walked back to the gift table, picked up my envelope, and reclaimed the check I had worked so hard to write. Holding it in my hand, I said just loud enough, "You won't be needing this anymore." Then I left. By the time I reached the door, the shouting had already started, chairs scraping, my brother's voice rising, my parents echoing behind him, "Come back. Come back." But I didn't. I drove away calm, steady, with no second thoughts. They wanted me excluded? Fine. But they wouldn't use me either. That night, I couldn't sleep, not because of regret, but because the scene kept replaying in perfect detail. That white badge. That empty table. That envelope on the gift table I was once so proud of. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. It was intentional. By morning, the texts began. First from my mom, then my dad, then my brother. "Can we talk? Let's not make this a big deal. Don't ruin the weekend." Not a single apology. No admission. Just excuses and sugarcoating, as if my reaction, not their cruelty, was the real problem. At one point, my mom even wrote, "We assumed you'd be fine without a seat, since you always say you don't care about fancy things." Right. Like I should be grateful for being excluded. Around noon, my dad called. Twice. Then a text, "Come over. Your brother's here. We need to talk." I ignored it. Made breakfast. Cleaned the kitchen. Took my time. I didn't owe them urgency or forgiveness. But curiosity got the better of me. I knew how much they needed that check. I knew about the venue costs, the honeymoon plans stretched to the limit. So I went, not to make peace, but to watch them squirm. When I walked in, they were all waiting. My mom smiling too hard, my dad nodding like this would be civil, my brother half standing, unsure if he should hug me or shake my hand. I sat down. Said nothing. They started spinning it right away. My dad said the whole thing was unfortunate. My mom blamed logistics and oversight, as if forgetting your daughter entirely could be filed under paperwork. My brother barely spoke, and when he did, it was vague. I thought you'd understand. I listened. Nodded here and there. And when they finished, I gave them one sentence. I might change my mind. Instantly, the air shifted. Relief flooded their faces. My mom sat straighter, already talking about how generous that would be. My dad exhaled sharply, like he was ready to move on. Even my brother finally looked at me directly. I didn't promise them anything. I just left them hanging on that one word, might. And as I walked out, I knew exactly what I had given them: uncertainty. The same thing they'd handed me when they decided I didn't belong. Let them sit with it. Let them twist in that uncertainty. For once, they were the ones who needed something from me. And I decided they'd finally learn how it feels to wait, to hope desperately, and not get what you expect. The next morning, my phone lit up with a voicemail from my mom. Her voice was soft, careful, like she was speaking to someone fragile. She said she'd been up all night thinking that maybe the wedding had been handled too strictly, maybe communication could have been better. But she never said what I wanted to hear. No, we messed up. No, I'm sorry. Just a vague attempt to shrink the whole thing into a little misunderstanding I'd supposedly blown out of proportion. Then came the kicker: they were postponing the honeymoon. Not canceling, just rescheduling a bit. She made it sound like a weather delay. But I already knew the truth. Without my check, their plans were unraveling. That afternoon, my dad called. His style was always different, less emotional, more calculated. He told me he was proud of the woman I'd become. Successful, steady, reliable. He even slipped in that not everyone in the family could say the same. Then he pivoted. We trust your judgment. I know you'll make the right call. They were turning it on thick, the flattery, the gentle pressure, the reminder that I was the dependable one, the one they leaned on. And in that moment, I thought about the car. 6 months earlier, I'd lent them my second vehicle when theirs broke down. Supposed to be for a week. 2 at most. I never saw it again. My dad always had excuses: waiting for a part, waiting for the mechanic, then the mechanic didn't show. Eventually, I stopped asking. Another favor for family. But the title was still in my name. Insurance, too. I logged in, checked, and there it was, still mine. So, I scheduled a tow. Friday morning. No warning, no heads up. Just gave the company the address and waited for the confirmation. At 9:12 a.m., my mom called. Once. Twice. A third time. Finally, I answered. There's a truck outside. They're towing the car. Did you do this? Yes, I said. Silence. Why? I'm switching insurance companies, I told her, which wasn't even a lie. She said they needed the car, that they had errands, that this was incredibly inconvenient. I could hear my dad in the background, shouting at someone outside. I said, then maybe you rent one. Borrow one. Figure it out. That's what I'd have to do, right? Her reply, this is about the wedding, isn't it? No, I said. This is about patterns. Then I hung up. That evening, my brother finally reached out. The first message since the wedding: can we talk? Just us. 5 words. No punctuation. I stared at it. I wasn't angry, not even shocked. He knew exactly why I wasn't responding. He'd been right there when it all happened. He'd let it happen. I waited 6 hours before replying. Soon. Not today. That was all. Let him sit in it. Let them all sit in it. Let them know what it feels like to wait, to wonder, to have no control. For once, I was the one pulling the strings. I didn't respond again that week. He tried once more the next day, Please just talk to me. I didn't want it to go that way. I left it on read. Meanwhile, my parents went silent. Not even excuses this time. No apologies either. Which told me two things: they were panicking, and they were scrambling to figure out how to spin it if I cut ties completely. Maybe deep down, they still believed I wouldn't do it. That I was the same girl who showed up to every family dinner, paid more than my share, stayed quiet while they took advantage, because that's family. But I wasn't predictable anymore. 3 days after the tow, I showed up unannounced. Parked across the street. Walked right in. My dad was on the couch watching the news. He flinched when he saw me. My mom stepped out of the kitchen with this rehearsed look on her face. "We didn't know you were coming," she said. "I know." I sat at the table. No offer of coffee this time. My dad muted the TV, leaned forward like he was about to pitch me something. They started with Ryan. How upset he'd been. How he never meant for me to feel excluded. How the wedding was hectic, chaotic, full of quick decisions. My mom added they were reconsidering honeymoon plans, something smaller, more local. I asked, "Have you booked it yet?" They said no. Still figuring it out. I nodded. Then dropped it, "I might help." But I was thinking of treating it like a loan. Nothing formal, just terms. The room froze. "What kind of terms?" my dad asked carefully. "Monthly payments. With interest. Nothing extreme, but it's a lot of money. It's only fair." They looked at me like I was speaking another language. My mom whispered, "But it was supposed to be a gift." "It was going to be," I said. "Until you demoted me to limited access guest. Until you cut me out like I was a stranger." Silence. My dad's face went blank. My mom looked like she might break down. Then I added, "Also, I want the family group chat shut down. I'm not reading another message about Anton's pool party plans unless I'm treated like actual family." My mom opened her mouth, but I stood up before she could finish. "Or," I said, "you can get the money somewhere else. Ryan can pick up a second job. Or you can sell something. Either way, figure it out." I left before they could answer. I was halfway down the driveway when Ryan's car pulled in. He jumped out like he'd raced home. "Wait, Mel, wait." I stopped. He looked exhausted. Not fake tired. Genuinely drained. And for a moment, it threw me. I'd never seen him look like that before. "I know they messed up," he admitted. "I know I did, too. But you've made your point, all right? Just, don't keep dragging this out." I stayed quiet. I only asked Dad for help. "I didn't realize they were going to treat you like that." I swear I didn't know until after. So I asked him, "When you saw me standing off to the side, when I walked out with that envelope, did you have anything to say?" He didn't answer. "I meant the gift," I clarified. He nodded. "Every dollar of it." I turned, got in my car, and drove away. That night, something unexpected popped up on my phone, a message from Ryan's fiancée. "Hey, I don't know all the details, but I just want to say I'm really sorry. I saw what happened, you didn't deserve that." I froze for a second. Read it twice. Then smiled. At least one person in that house still had a moral compass. For the first time in a week, I replied. "Thanks for saying that. I appreciate it." "Really?" She responded instantly. "I just wish you'd stayed. I think things would have gone differently if you had." I didn't agree, but I wasn't going to argue either. I wasn't about to dump my bitterness on the only person who'd shown a shred of decency. After I left the house, Ryan went silent. So did my parents. No calls, no texts. Just waiting, hoping. I could feel it, they thought I was sitting around, weighing things, maybe softening. But I wasn't. I was sharpening my blade. That weekend, I sent my mom a text out of nowhere. Still putting off the honeymoon? Her reply came in 2 minutes. Yes. Haven't booked anything. Just seeing how things play out. So I followed up. Meaning, you're still waiting to see if I'll help. A longer pause this time. Then. We're hoping yes, but it's up to you. We're not pressuring you, promise. The same old guilt-wrapped optimism. The kind that says you're letting the family down without actually saying it. I let a full day pass. Then I answered. I've talked to a financial advisor. If I give anything, it'll be through a contract, signatures, interest, and a clause that you never bring it up again unless it's in writing. Hours of silence. Then a text from my dad. Are you being serious right now? I ignored it. Later, my mom sent. Maybe we should sit down and talk this through calmly. I just sent a thumbs up. When we met the next day, they tried to act friendly. My mom made coffee. My dad had a printed list of options, including one where I give part now and the rest later, once trust was repaired. Ryan wasn't there. Why not? I asked. He doesn't want to be involved anymore, my mom said. He's already stressed enough. I smiled. Fair. I'm stressed, too. So let's wrap this up. My dad slid the paper across the table like it was a treaty. I scanned it, folded it, and pushed it back. I've made my decision, I told them. You'll need to figure this out without me. Borrow. Earn. Do whatever you have to do. But don't ask me again. My mom's lips parted, but no words came out. My dad leaned back like I'd just knocked the air out of him. That moment, the hope draining from their faces, I'll never forget it. The next morning, nothing. No calls. No texts. Silence. I wasn't surprised. Later that week, Ryan's fiancée messaged again. They told me you shut it all down. I just want you to know, I think you were right. I stared at her words, then replied. You're the only one who gets it. She answered. Maybe I'm just not used to this kind of family yet. That actually made me laugh. Finally, someone said it out loud. But the silence that followed? That wasn't peace. It was punishment. A week passed. Then another. Still nothing. No passive-aggressive nudges, no fake attempts to smooth things over. Just a cold wall. They didn't say I was cut off, but the message was clear. I'd crossed a line, not by walking away, but by refusing to crawl back. The group chat went dead. A cousin posted about summer plans. No replies. Normally my mom would toss in a heart emoji, or a sounds fun. Not this time. My dad ignored a work-related email I sent, pretended it must have slipped past him. My birthday was coming up in 2 weeks. I already knew how that would play out, with nothing. They weren't furious because I left. They were furious because I left with dignity. The irony? They thought I'd be sitting around, drowning in regret, waiting to come back with an apology. But I wasn't. I only missed the family I thought I had, not the one that actually existed. Then, out of nowhere, another text from Ryan's fiancée. Hey, just checking in. I know it's been quiet. I just hope you're okay. I told her I was, and that I appreciated her reaching out, because no one else had. She replied. It's been tense. They don't really talk about it, but I know they're all still hoping you'll change your mind. I typed, deleted, retyped. Finally sent. They'll need to get used to the fact I won't. She didn't argue. Didn't tell me to forgive them. Just said. I hope you're still around for what comes next. You matter even if they don't show it. I sat with that for a while. It wasn't much, but it was real. The only genuine kindness I'd been shown since the wedding. A few days later, I got a bank notification. My dad had transferred me $40. No note. No explanation. That was his way of reopening communication. I declined it. That same day, I canceled the dinner reservation I'd made weeks ago for my birthday, back when I'd still half believed they might come around. It was just a small place I liked. Nothing fancy. Instead, I ordered takeout. Ate on my porch with a beer. Quiet. Simple. No drama. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like anything was missing. They thought they'd cut me out. What they didn't realize was I'd already walked away. By the time a month had passed, the silence had settled in like mold. Slow. Heavy. Permanent. I stopped expecting anything at all. I stopped opening the family group chat. Even the usual chain emails my mom used to forward, without ever reading, stopped showing up. Ryan? Gone. Not a word since I turned them down. I figured he'd either written me off completely, or more likely, he didn't want to face the fallout, because facing it meant admitting he helped cause it. On the surface, I'd mostly moved on. Back at work, eating better, finally sleeping through the night. I even started planning a trip I'd been putting off for years, somewhere distant, somewhere unreachable. Then, on a random Thursday night, the silence cracked open. I was half dozing on the couch, some mindless show running in the background, when a notification popped up from an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the first line. Hey, I hope this isn't too strange, but I need to tell you something. It's about the wedding and your brother. I wasn't sure I should, but you deserve to know. The number wasn't saved, just a local area code. My pulse picked up as I kept reading. This is Carrara's cousin. I helped with planning, seating, RSVPs, all of it. I saw the original guest list. You were marked as family, full access, sitting with your parents and Ryan. Another text came seconds later. 3 days before the wedding, your mom sent a new list. You were the only name moved. Ryan signed off on it. I remember thinking it seemed odd, but figured it was some family decision. I froze. Just sat there, staring at the screen, heartbeat heavy and slow. Not shocked, more like exposed. Like someone had finally flicked on the lights in a room I'd been stumbling through for years. Then one last message. I'm not trying to start drama. I just couldn't hold it in anymore. What they did wasn't okay. I'm sorry. That's when it clicked. Ryan knew. He saw me on that original list and still let them push me down into the limited access section, like I was some distant relative who didn't matter. This wasn't a mix-up. Not capacity. Not a vendor issue. It was deliberate. Signed, sealed, approved. And the worst part, they knew exactly what I was bringing. I'd told Ryan weeks before that I had a big surprise planned for the wedding. Something to ease his financial stress. He was the one who told me how strapped they were. I offered to help, and he let me. And then, 3 days before the ceremony, he signed off on cutting me out. I scrolled back through our old messages. The night he said, Mel, I don't know how we're going to afford the honeymoon. The night I replied, don't worry. I've got you. He knew. And he still did it. They wanted the money, not the connection. Not the seat at the table, not the toast, not the presents. Just the envelope. And that's when it stopped stinging. That's when it shifted. Because now, I had proof. No more excuses. No more what-ifs. No more giving them another chance. I didn't reply to the cousin. Didn't need to. She'd given me the only thing my family never had, honesty. The next morning, I woke up calm. No spiral, no urge to cry, no anger, just quiet acceptance. This was their choice. My mom chose to erase me. My dad chose to back her up. And Ryan chose to let it happen. So I started cutting ties. I left the family group chat without a word. Blocked my parents on every social app. Muted Ryan's number, not blocked, not yet. Just silence. I wasn't punishing anyone. I was stepping out of the role they'd built for me, the version of me that existed only to serve their needs. Later that day, Ryan's fiancée texted. I don't know what happened, but Ryan's been quiet all morning. I think it's sinking in. I didn't answer. Let him sit with it. Let him piece it together himself. That weight wasn't mine to carry anymore. 2 days later, my dad reached out. Family is complicated. We all make mistakes. We love you. No apology. Just a vague excuse dressed up as affection. I stared at it, then deleted the file on my computer labeled loan terms. They weren't getting a cent. The silence stretched. Then, on a Tuesday night, Ryan's name flashed across my screen. He was calling. I let it ring. He left a voicemail. Mel, I really need to talk. Just 5 minutes. Please. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway. I didn't delete it, but I didn't call back either. Listened once, then put my phone down and went for a walk. No music, no distractions, just the sound of my steps and the wind. It was the most peace I'd felt in months. The next day, another message. This time from my mom. Ryan's not doing well. He misses you. Short. Tone deaf. What did she expect me to say? Poor Ryan? The same Ryan who let her humiliate me? I left it on read. That night, I started looking up flights. Somewhere far, quiet, weightless. Maybe a beach town. Maybe a cabin. Maybe just away. The day before my birthday, a letter showed up. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. My mom. The words were careful, too careful, like she'd rehearsed each one a dozen times. She wrote that she missed me, that the family wasn't the same without me, that things got out of hand. That they never meant for me to feel hurt. But still, no ownership. No, I'm sorry. Just another gentle rewrite. They were loving but overwhelmed. I was strong but sensitive, everything a simple misunderstanding. I folded the letter twice, slid it back into the envelope, and tucked it into the bottom drawer of my desk. Let it sit. Let it fade. That night, I bought myself a small cake, lit a candle, and whispered one word before blowing it out. Freedom. Not forgiveness. Not closure. Just freedom. Because I didn't need them to change anymore. I didn't need them to be different. I only needed space to stop pretending they ever would be. On my birthday, I woke up to nothing, no texts, no calls, no false cheer. And it was perfect. I made pancakes. I turned up music. And for once, the quiet felt like mine. I spun around my kitchen barefoot, weightless, like no one had ever tried to pin a paper label on me that read outsider. Because I wasn't an outsider, I just didn't belong there, not with them. And the more I let that sink in, the clearer it became, they hadn't lost a daughter. What they lost was access to my loyalty, my help, my generosity. I still carried all those things inside me. I just wasn't handing them over to people who treated me like a spare part. 2 days after my birthday, Ryan's fiancée reached out again. Hey, just checking in. I hope your birthday was nice. I know it's not really my place, but I'm still so sorry. I wrote back, thank you. That means a lot. She answered quickly, they still haven't really faced it. Not directly. But I can see it's weighing on Ryan. He doesn't know what to do. I didn't respond right away. I just sat with it. Because here's the truth, I believed her. I believed Ryan was probably sitting there replaying it all, twisting the story in his head from every angle. But I also knew something else. He'd had endless chances to say something. At the wedding. At home. In all the weeks since. And he didn't. He waited. He watched. He calculated. Hoping I'd cave first. But this time, I wasn't going to. That weekend, I finally booked the trip. 3 days in a coastal town I'd never seen before. I packed light, just a carry-on, my journal, and clothes that felt like they belonged to the version of me walking towards something better. I didn't tell a soul. When I got there, I shut my phone off completely. No emails, no scrolling, no group chats. Just ocean air, crashing waves, and the kind of silence that feels like being alone without being lonely. I watched the sun rise every morning. I filled my journal, not with their names or their choices, but with my own, with the story of who I'd been and who I was becoming. For so long, my worth had been tied to their approval. And in the end, that approval was worth nothing. On my last night, I walked barefoot along the beach, letting the tide rush up and chase me. I laughed aloud, unfiltered, and no one hushed it or ignored it. For the first time in years, I felt like myself. When I came home, the silence was still waiting. The group chat was dead. No calls, no messages. But this time it felt different. This time, it was my silence. My choice. That same afternoon, I opened my mailbox and found an envelope. This one from Ryan. Not handwritten, just a folded note and a printed photo. The note said, "I messed up. I know I did. I should have stopped it, and I didn't. I was afraid of making things worse, and ended up making them worse. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed you to know I'm sorry." The photo was from when we were kids. A backyard barbecue. I must have been 8, he 10. I had ice cream all over my face, and he was reaching out with his sleeve, laughing as he wiped it away. We looked happy. Whole. Before all the complications. Before they learned how to shrink me. I stared at it for a long time. Then I put it back in the envelope and tucked it in the drawer where my mom's letter was. I didn't rip it. I didn't throw it out. But I didn't call him either. Because healing doesn't always mean reopening the door. Sometimes it means locking it softly and walking away. That night, his fiancée texted me one last time. "I hope someday this changes, but if it doesn't, I still think you did the right thing. I've learned more watching you leave than I ever did watching them pretend." I replied, "Thank you. That means everything." And it did. Because sometimes the people who see you best aren't the ones you grew up with. They're the ones who step in quietly, consistently, without obligation. People like her. People who mean it when they say, "I see you." A few days later, I opened my calendar again. Started penciling things in dinners with friends, yoga classes, gallery nights, hikes. Not a single family event among them. And it felt good. They'd spent years teaching me to vanish inside myself, to accept scraps, to measure my value in forced smiles and shallow praise. But I wasn't playing that part anymore. I wasn't waiting for an invitation, or a call, or an apology that would never land the way it should. Instead, I was building something new. A life that revolved around my own joy, not their expectations. One morning, I sat at the table with my coffee and scrolled through old photos. Birthdays. Holidays. Stiff group shots with plastered smiles. I deleted most of them. Kept a few, not because I missed those moments, but because they reminded me how far I'd come. The girl in those pictures tried so desperately to be chosen. To be enough. And now? She was finally free. It had been a little over 2 months since the wedding. 2 months since I decided they couldn't take from me anymore. 2 months since I stopped folding myself into their shape and started choosing my own. Still no word from my parents. They were stubborn like that. The kind who believed silence was strategy, that if they waited long enough, I'd crawl back out of guilt or nostalgia. But I wasn't lonely. Not even close. Because the quiet they left behind had been filled with peace, with real friendships, with laughter that didn't need an audience. And then, one night, Ryan messaged again. Short. Hey. I don't expect anything. I just wanted to say I miss you. I looked at it for a long while. Then set my phone down. I didn't reply. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because I didn't owe anyone the version of myself that stayed quiet just to keep their comfort intact. They'd built a system that only worked if I played along, smiling, showing up, writing checks, sitting at the far end of the table pretending I wasn't hungry. But the second I asked for a plate, the second I said, I matter too, the whole thing collapsed. And that collapse wasn't mine to repair. So instead of answering him, I opened my journal and finally wrote the truth I'd been circling for weeks. You don't get to cut someone out and still expect their love. That was the lesson. Not just for them, for me. Because I'd treated my love like a default for too long, like something owed just because we shared blood. But love isn't automatic. Real love is reciprocal. Chosen. Nurtured. And I was finished giving it away like background noise. The next morning, I typed out a new page on my laptop. At the top, what I will and won't accept from family. It was long. Brutally honest. It started with, I won't accept exclusion dressed up as tradition. I won't accept shame disguised as care. And it ended with, I will guard my peace like it's treasure, because it is. And anyone who wants to be in my life has to treat it that way. When I was done, I printed it, folded it, and taped it to the inside of my closet door. Not as a reminder for them. For me. Because they might never change. But I already had. And I didn't need their paper badges anymore. I had my own seat, at my own table, serving joy in portions big enough to finally feel full. And when I raise my glass, it isn't to family who failed me. It's to the girl who said enough, and meant it. To Melissa. To me. To freedom.